Greetings, Emperor here. Today's guide is about situational awareness. Have you ever had moments in games, especially PvP ones, where you felt lost when it comes to what to do? Where you found yourself against an enemy that seems to always be a few steps ahead? Or simply dying and having no clue who or what killed you in the moment? All of that is usually the culmination of several events that found your situational awareness wanting, and is one of the biggest reasons why more hardcore games with a limited HUD, like Tarkov, Squad, or Arma, can be quite stressful in experience. It is a critical skill that is in use every second you're awake, from the absolutely simple things like crossing a road to commanding an entire group of players in a virtual environment. Situational awareness is used in every facet of life. Because in essence, situational awareness is collecting information from your environment, processing it into actionable intel, then using it as fuel for an effective next move. In time and with practice, a good sense of situational awareness will allow you to avoid or deal with any problems before they even happen. My intent in this video is to introduce situational awareness as a concept and show you how to enable yours and use it in your sessions. I will do this by introducing some simple guidelines to keep in mind, then showcase them with examples in real time through different scenarios across multiple games. Disclaimer: the concept is universally applicable, but only if adapted and practiced. I can only show you, not make it a habit for you. Let's begin. Before we can show any examples, we have to first establish a simple, adaptable format that will serve as a guideline no matter the scenario. Know that this will be the toughest part of situating yourself, because there are just so many different scenarios that it will be difficult, at first, for you to understand and translate the process universally. In order to ease that transition, I want to elaborate on the crossing a road example I mentioned above to show you how to simplify your thought process. Humor me for a second. In civilian life, we're all taught as kids, hopefully, that we should always look both ways before crossing a road. Breaking down the steps a little bit, we recognize that upon reaching a road we intend to cross, we first take note of any ongoing traffic, and then, judging that it's safe to cross, we do so. That's basically that, right? Well, yes, but no. What about traffic lights, pedestrian crossings, single or dual lane roads, etc.? What about the more obvious stuff that we disregard because they're, well, obvious? What about your own ability to cross the road? Ridiculous question, right? For those that are able-bodied. What if someone has a disability? What if you're simply dizzy or drunk and find it difficult to walk? These are all extra factors that can and will complicate the situation. And while this may be considered a lame or simplistic example, think about how much more complicated it can get in other scenarios, in other settings. And that is exactly my point here. There will always be situations where identifying and understanding what you're looking at is going to prove difficult. Therefore, it's important for you to keep a simple, universal format to help piece together info more easily. And that will be done through the 3 consideration system. Do keep in mind that the order is never fixed. Internal factors: your own ability and capability, whether physical, mental, or equipment-based, as well as your team's. External factors: terrain, weather conditions, and other natural hazards, as well as your opposition's ability, capability, moves, and mindset. Finally, the time factor: the time it takes for you and your opposition to make a move, as well as the environmental changes that might occur. With these 3, you can get an understanding of any situation by starting small, then building up as more information comes in. But there is a big potential problem here. People tend to overthink, and that can lead to freezing in situations where urgency is needed. So I have these 3 rules to accompany the considerations that will act as a safety net for when that happens. First, relevance. Prioritize processing information that actively helps the current situation. A parked vehicle without a driver doesn't really matter when crossing a road. The same with a distant gunshot in a CQB firefight. Second, time limit. Just like how the time consideration for friendly and enemy moves is a factor, the time you take to process that info is also critical. Try to keep time spent for each consideration stage low. The point is, third rule, moderation. You will never have all the information at hand, or be able to process them all perfectly. The aim is to make a good enough decision that will keep you alive to allow for another good enough decision. And that is good enough for you to start understanding the general mindset of this universal process. Now we will get into more gaming relevant scenarios, and we will adapt the process to the 3 most common points of view: a commander's, a team leader's, and an individual's. And we will start by showing examples of what the presence or absence of situational awareness can do to all 3 POVs. In this first example, I'm playing squad, and I am in a squad that is heading to the front lines on a truck. Everything seems fine until...
You know we're gonna die, right?
The second clip is from Arma 3, where my group, TTC, was conducting a CQB training. Our objective was to approach and clear this building.
Grenade out. Good frag.
Good nade.
On nade, Java, you push. Let's go.
Let's go.
Java is down.
Java down, Java down.
And the final clip is from Tarkov, where me and a buddy are moving quickly through the area.
You stay on the left if you can. Or actually cover the rear where we came from. Oh shit! Enemy contact on the fucking front right. He's on the like bush line. Front right.
You can see that all 3 clips are widely different situations, and yet our situational awareness format applies perfectly to all of them. So let's break down the 3 clips and explain what were those several choices that ultimately led to the outcomes. For the first clip, the squad leader's intention was to rush past the front line and establish a flanking fob on enemy territory. The problem, and it's a very common problem amongst aspiring leaders, especially in squad, is that while they often have an objective in mind, they rarely have an accompanying plan to successfully see the objective's completion. And that, usually, is due to a lack of situational awareness. So let's see what would be the things to keep in mind here using our format. Time factor. Getting there from our base is going to take significantly longer than it will the enemy. The enemy will be set up before we can. External factors. Terrain is difficult to traverse and leaves us vulnerable to enemy observation. The enemy has heavy vehicles as well as the terrain advantage. Internal factors. We are infantry within a vulnerable soft vehicle, a truck. Our closest infantry unit would not be able to help us in time if we get attacked. If the squad leader had kept that information in mind, the plan would not have been that reckless, or we would have been better prepared for the job and better supported by other units. On to the next clip. What you see here is a classic CQB push mentality. You throw a grenade to wound or kill, then immediately push after it. While there are some problems with the push technique itself, there are some more fundamental awareness problems to talk about first. External factors. A difficult narrow staircase into an open room vulnerable to enemy observation. And think of who we are fighting. Are these normal soldiers that will fight fair? Or are they guerrillas that might use tripwires and other tricks? Internal factors. There are 2 people pushing, both of them being automatic riflemen. That means more mag capacity, but also longer barrels, among other things. Always know strengths and limits. Time factor. The time it takes for the grenade to go off, to get out of the staircase, the enemies to take cover, then reacquire their angles, and so on. You can see that most of these considerations are similar to the first clip, and you would be right. The difference is that the first clip is more about the commander's level of awareness, whereas the second one is more about the team level. Now for the final clip, it's pretty much a summary of the above, but on an individual level. Time factor. I know the time it takes for people to get somewhere, as well as the potential time they may take at a location. External factors. I know the terrain layout, the direction of movement enemies might take, and I know that Tarkov players rarely think about tactics. Internal factor. And finally, I know what my capabilities and limits are, therefore I pick my fights accordingly. All of this allows me to expect what I'll be facing, when and where I likely face them, and what options do I have to increase my chances of survival. And that, in 2 words, is called tactical foresight. Okay, so we got an idea of what situational awareness is. We saw some examples of what its presence or absence does to the experience, and how it's equally relevant to all levels of planning. Now we will take a look at how to collect information by showing you what to look for, how to process it into actionable intel by filtering the non-relevant info, and finally show some examples of how this process can affect our next move on a currently evolving scenario. For this section then, I will start with a match I recently had in squad. We will be focusing on the commander's POV from the map, and we will begin by gathering general information. So let's introduce the setting. We are in Mutaha, and we are playing as Russians against the Australians. Before we make any plans, we first have to get a grasp of the terrain we're in, what are our objectives, and what we and the enemy are capable of. Let's begin. Internal factors. Our Russian unit is comprised of mostly infantry in wheeled light vehicles supported by a tank and helo. External factors. The Australian unit is a mechanized infantry element with wheeled IFVs supported by a tank and a helo. The terrain is mainly an urban environment surrounded by sporadic farmland. Time factor. Both teams have direct access to the middle highway. Both teams also have farmlands to cross first, then everyone goes into urban terrain. I could go on and collect more info, you can always do more, but this right now is more than enough for the next step, processing information. This can be a bit more free-form a process on how to approach the info, but the way I do it is by processing the easiest and more obvious information first, then move towards more complex ones. So my processing list would be like this. 1. The enemy has better vehicles than us. A head-on fight is ill-advised. 2. The enemy has wheeled IFVs, which means that they will reach the front lines at the same time we will. 3. Whoever controls the middle highway can push into the east and west sides of the map. 4. The enemy's probable move is to push down the highways and lock them down with the IFVs. We can now understand what the enemy can do, what we can do, which areas are of importance, and the time it takes to make our moves. And this is a good enough starting point to start making moves. Now remember, my aim is to showcase this process in order to allow you to make better calls. So following that spirit, I will not list everything that I would see being viable moves here. Instead, I'll keep it short and list 3 things that I would do. Here we go. 1. That middle highway, I would expect it to be of the highest importance for the enemy. They hold that, they control the map. 2. My focus would be getting infantry into the city and blocking off roads with the FOB building mechanics, denying enemy access to our side of the map. 3. I would make sure the chopper takes up a more intelligence gathering role instead of a transport or supply one. Getting eyes on those IFVs is critical. With these 3 points, I can pretty much see our side having a good initial foothold on our side of the map, our flank secure, and have a chance to deal with or evade the superior enemy vehicles. But this does not end here. We still have a long way to go before we consider our plan a success, and I'll briefly show you how this game progressed. Picture 1 is where we start off. Picture 2 sees our flank already destroyed due to our light vehicles wanting to duke it out with the enemy IFV. Picture 3 is where we get our flanks pushed because we did not secure them. And Picture 4, to sum up, we managed to hold our ground, control the eastern highway, and push to capture the northern objectives. We ended up winning, but it was a close one. And that is situational awareness from a commander's POV. His focus is always planning on establishing area superiority for your team by thinking of where to send each unit based on their strengths and weaknesses. But where the commander's essay is always about the where, a team leader's is focused on the how his team is going to accomplish said commander's orders, and more importantly, his intent. You can definitely see this as a zoomed-in version of a commander's essay. You still keep in mind all the information we saw above, but you prioritize more local information relevant to your team's objective. And to showcase the TL's SA, that was a mouthful, I'm going to show you another clip from Squad where we participated in a One Life 100 player event with custom objectives. So here's the scenario. I'm leading a 5-man TTC kill team tasked with eliminating an enemy's ammo cache behind enemy lines. On the way there, we found out that the enemy has set up a mortar position in order to harass the rest of our team. Our objective did not change, but there was an additional task to deny the enemy their fire support. And as if that wasn't enough, an enemy APC suddenly drove up to our crossing point, blocking our progress. Even worse, we also had just shy of 12 minutes to get the job done. So let's get our consideration system on the way. What do we know so far? External factors. We have an enemy ammo cache and mortar position located in an industrial compound protected by an unknown number of infantry as well as an enemy APC observing the road. The terrain has varying elevation, as well as the compound itself having many buildings, pipes, and other obstructions, as well as open sight lines in between. Internal factors. We have a 5-man infantry team on foot, completely unsupported, equipped with C4 and other small arms. Time factor. We have about 10 minutes tops to reach our objective and get the job done. Having this information, we can start the extraction process. Note that I will be listing most of the stuff that went through my head this time, unlike the commander situation. 1. We do not have any anti-tank capabilities aside from C4 and mines. That means that if we want to deal with the APC, we gotta get dangerously close. 2. It is unknown how many enemies are there, but since it is a mortar position and an objective, I'm expecting at least double our count. 3. The elevation and compound layout will prove a good way for us to sneak in and engage on our terms. However, if we get spotted, this will work against us. 4. Upon getting spotted, the enemy is likely to swarm us. Worst case scenario, even turn the APC or the mortars around. 5. Once we commit to the assault, there is no going back. It is do or die. So my job as a team leader is to get all of this done without losing a single teammate. How could this be done? Well, in short, I took a gamble. If the APC decided to join the defense, we would probably get annihilated. But nobody was aware we were there, and the APC was not looking at us. That was an opportunity. The gamble was to set up a distraction by getting our combat engineer to plant C4 and then try to escape while our grenade launcher blinded the gunner's sights with smoke grenades. Then, we would maneuver to the other side of the compound, and while the defenders would attempt to help the APC, we would sneak in behind them and assault. And to our good fortune, it actually worked. We managed to slip in completely undetected, take up positions in the cache building, and defend it while the cache was getting dismantled. The plan would have been completely different if the APC didn't show up. And this is a good time to mention that situational awareness is a living, ever-changing process. You will constantly have to refresh the 3 considerations with new information, as well as deleting old ones. A single, rigid, and unchanging plan, based on outdated information, is as good as dead, whereas a modular, flexible, and ever-adaptable plan will always be more successful. Having access to a bird's-eye view of the situation will always be a powerful ally to decision-making, and should always be used constantly. But what about those situations where the individual has to deal with direct, split-second decision-making? Situational awareness works a little bit differently in this case, because where a commander or team leader acquires new info every now and then and can process it in relative calm, a person in a high-intensity situation has to collect and process an incredible amount of information in a very, very short time. In the following example in Escape from Tarkov, we're going to be looking at such a situation. That means no maps, no knowledge of friendly forces aside from your immediate buddy, and the only information you can collect is through visual or audible stimuli. And I'd like you to experience the situation the same way, without further information. Keep the 3 considerations in mind and try to translate the information as it comes in. Let's begin. Maybe move to tech light upstairs, for example, or something. From the backside.
Okay,
from
we
the
can.
backside. Down the street, to the right, to the right.
Yeah. Towards the office, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know where he shot from. I think he's in the corner. Like, he's not even in the offices. He's here. No, he's far. I can't see him. Can you see anything? He's down the street. Careful how you peek.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly he is. He has an angle, man. We really don't need to...
No. What do you want to do?
Go from Texo. Go far back from Texo. Like, run inside. Yeah, deep. Keep moving. And peek him from the end.
Okay. You move to my store?
No, man. I'm on the other side. I cannot. You literally move back. Far back.
Okay.
And pick him from the... He's coming. He's running.
I was running too.
2 of them.
Yeah. I got the angle. One inside.
One down. There's two. There's one.
Yeah, one inside.
Yeah.
Did you get the one inside?
I'm throwing. No. I got the one in front. There's another one in front and the one to the left.
Copy.
Get ready, man. You okay? Take cover.
He's firing at me.
Take cover.
Yeah. I'm good.
I see him. They're both pushing inwards. Got him.
Nice.
Man, there's another one. There's a 4th one in front of you. Down the street.
Hurt.
To your left is another one.
I'm on Texo.
Take the front. I'll take the left.
Yeah, I understand.
Do not
I
cross
see-
that doorway. You hear him?
I won't.
Go back again and peek long.
Okay.
He's right here.
Going back,
He's
going back.
literally right here on me. Man, there's two enemies. He might be flanking you from the left.
Oh, fuck. Behind me, behind me.
Yeah, I know,
Shit,
I know,
I'm
I
dead.
know, I know. I see him. Damn it. Got him! Not the last one, though. I'll stop the video here. The rest doesn't matter. Let's briefly talk about what happened, although I will not be breaking down everything in this section as I want this to serve as food for thought. We tried to cross the hallway and bam, we have enemy contact engaging us. Right now, immediately, we have to do a quick, near-instant 3 consideration setup. External factors. We get at least one enemy down the open hallway to our team's right. The terrain has heavily obstructed sightlines, as well as multiple avenues of movement and potentially flanks. Internal factors. We are a 2-man team on each side of the lane and we can both hold the open enemy hallway. However, I'm very exposed in the rear flank. Time factor. The more time we spend, the more time the enemy has to come up with a plan or a third party to enter the fray. Not a minute later, and we already have update on external factors by adding 2 more enemies, and a third party rear flank. In a nutshell, me and my buddy were up against 4 opponents that ambushed us in the hallway. We managed to kill 3 of them, but suffered 1 casualty.
Yeah. I'm good.
We could have prevented the casualty if we had thought about the second guy flanking. It was an easy guess to make. But this is exactly a living and stark example of why you can never have 100% coverage of every detail. It is just simple human processing. Sometimes it gets overloaded, whether from the situation itself or internal factors like life stress or simply your mood. And that feeds straight into your awareness and decision making should you let it. The best way to deal with this is to take a step back, breathe, and remember the 3 considerations and rules. And instead of continuing to break down the specific clip, I want to instead give a few key points that can increase our awareness in our future battles on an individual level. It will be something like this. A. Identifying threat areas. Where the guy shot from, the area we came from being a flanking hazard, the hallways we haven't cleared going further into the building. Knowing where you can potentially get shot from leads you to B. Positioning accordingly. Identifying areas that allow you to observe and control the enemy's avenues of approach, but also cover your buddy from an enemy push, is essential for your SA. It allows you to prevent surprise attacks from succeeding and keeps the option of fleeing open for your team. C. sharing awareness. We are as strong as our weakest link, and the person who has no clue what is happening in front of him is the biggest weakness. Be sure to explain where, why, how, and what they need to know. And that's all the examples we'll go through. Let's do a little recap. In the first 3 examples, we saw how the presence or absence of situational awareness can heavily, and usually critically, affect our gameplay. We also learned how to collect information from the environment and process it into actionable intel to use in planning, both from a commander, team leader, and individual perspective. Finally, we saw how situational awareness plays into direct, split-second decision-making. In order to accomplish the above, we have utilized the simple, universal 3-consideration system, which is comprised of external, internal, and time factors. To prevent analysis paralysis, we also introduced the 3 rules to accompany the system, that is, relevance, moderation, and a time limit. To summarize, everything about planning stems from situational awareness. I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, a plan never survives first contact with the enemy. That is because situational awareness is an iterative process. The situation constantly evolves, and so too should your plans. Awareness leads to good decision-making. Decision-making without awareness leads to disaster. Okay, that's enough for today. I hope you guys learned something and it helps you enjoy your games more. This is the first time I make a longer form of guide, and it's a bit weird for me, as I like to keep it short and sweet. But I do believe that although I haven't covered everything, this is a good first step for you to start unraveling the answer to the oft-asked question of what the fuck is going on. And if you made it through all the way, first of all, thank you, it's appreciated, but also, what do you think? Is situational awareness as universal as I make it out to be? Will it be able to help you guys in your daily life as well? Let me know in the comments. Have a good one, guys. Yuri Emperor, out.